Welcome to One Brothas Mind, and I am KD Smooth. Today we will question and challenge popular information and views from a B1 perspective, while we expose the real facts you need. We do this to strengthen your logical, critical, and discerning thinking skills. Because in today's world, hard choices are mandatory and they come with consequences. So you need all the information. And at One Brother's Mind, we do this from a B1 Yeshua the Christ followers perspective. Now, if you're not ready, you better get ready with Katie Smooth at One Brother's Mind.
The time for scared, lip trembling, word changing, self-denying, compromising, knee shaking black people is over. If you have something to say, speak up with authority and conviction. If not, sit down and shut up. We have to have the power to tell the truth, to say whatever is necessary, to do what needs to be done, whatever it is, no matter who it may hurt.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's KD Smooth coming back at you with a new report. I pray you all are doing well. Shalom, family. In today's report, we are going to discuss a new bombshell breaking news report. A bombshell breaking news report that was released by the Washington Post. It involves aviation, the government, and medical systematic white supremacy. Yeah, we're going in, family. So, you guys, this report and investigation and information is so jacked up. Y'all not gonna believe it when y'all see it. I'm gonna literally show you. We're gonna go over it together. I'm gonna show you the report. It's so bad. Y'all not really gonna believe it. Okay? In addition to showing you guys and going over this report with you guys, this bombshell report, one of the things that I want you to try to focus on, and I'm going to point a lot of these out to you, is we're going to look at the many ways that Satan lies and does everything possible to escape accountability, consequences, and justice. Okay? Oh yeah, we going in, y'all. Before we do, family, please smash the like button, share this report on all your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brother's Mind, where we try to bring you the information and facts you need. Okay. Some of y'all already asking, systematic white supremacy in aviation, government, and medical? All together? Really? Yes. Here is a concept that I need y'all to absorb. And that concept is that systematic white supremacy has many facets. Okay? Systematic white supremacy is not just the discrimination and or racism and injustices that are poured out by our oppressor onto so-called black people and minorities here, in this example, in the US. But again, systematic white supremacy has many facets. So the racism and discrimination, that's one facet to keep pressure or oppression on minorities or so-called black people. That's one facet. But there's another facet where systematic white supremacy not only configures and sets up its mode of operation, its systems, okay, but it sets those up in such a way to elevate and support the satanic dominance or illegitimate, or can we say illegal, support and construct for most of our white brothers and sisters to benefit from. Okay? So it's not just the oppression or discrimination or racism. It has the other side of the card for systematic white supremacy. It's the infrastructure, the systematic infrastructure and support systems that are built in to systematic white supremacy to elevate and help most of our white brothers and sisters excel, right? Don't miss that, family. So today's systematic white supremacy report number 7, we're going to focus on how, or the facet of systematic white supremacy that's baked in the cake, that's built in, the systems and mechanisms that have been put in place to help many of our white brothers and sisters excel and prosper illegally, if you will, or satanically, or whatever word you want to use. Okay? So let's move on further into this report. Okay? So if you haven't already heard, again, the Washington Post just released a bombshell report in regards to revealing investigation and information about 5,000 or up to 5,000 pilots have been lying, stealing, and cheating and risking your life in the process. Yeah, airline pilots, plane pilots. Yes. Some of y'all going, wait a minute, KD Smooth. Hold on now. Really? Stay with me, family. Okay? Stay with me. All right. In addition to that information, I'm going to show you how, like I mentioned before, the facet of, or in this report, one example of the other facet of systematic white supremacy that uplifts, that promotes and supports most of our white brothers and sisters within this system. And in this example, it's going to focus on the FAA, the VA or Veterans Administration, commercial airlines, and really all airline options, actual physicians, licensed physicians, and more. I'm going to show you how pretty much all of them have been lying, cheating, and stealing, breaking laws, getting away with it, and now that they've somewhat been caught red-handed, like I said, I'm going to show you how Satan tries to use every and any lie, trickeration to come up with to justify and or get out of being held accountable. Okay? This is, let's just get into it here. Okay? All right, first off, this is the article, the blockbuster article that the Washington Post has released. Okay, this is my source. All right. The title, as you see on your screen, is 5,000 pilots suspected of hiding major health issues. Most are still flying. Right? Are you starting to, it should begin to sink in, like, wait a minute, if pilots are hiding major health issues and they're flying planes, that puts all the passengers at risk, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. So we're going to get into this article, and in fact, this article is kind of lengthy. I'm not going to read it all or share it all with you. I encourage you to go to the Washington Post and read the entire article for yourself, but I'm going to share quite a bit of it for you because it's so unbelievable of what's been going on. If I didn't share it with you, I'm going to literally put it on the screen so y'all can read it and see it with me. Okay? It's so bad that if I didn't share it with you, y'all would believe I'm making it up. That I'm just, y'all wouldn't believe it. It's that bad. So we're going to get into it right here. All right. Let me put it on your screen. So that's the headline. Okay. And here is the article, and I've highlighted the points that I'm going to share with you. Okay. And we're going to go over. All right. Let's begin. I was looking for something here. Bear with me, family. I don't have it. That's okay. We're going to move forward. All right. There they go. All right. So, in this article, on your screen, it begins with this. Federal authorities have been investigating nearly 5,000 pilots suspected of falsifying their medical records to conceal that they were receiving benefits for mental health disorders and other serious conditions that could make them unfit to fly. Yeah. I'm going to say that again. They are suspecting of up to 5,000 pilots of falsifying their medical records to conceal that they were receiving benefits for mental, and when it says benefits here in the first paragraph, they're meaning disability benefits from the VA, or Veterans Administration, for mental health disorders and other serious conditions that could make them unfit to fly. All right, let's move on. The pilots under scrutiny are military veterans who told the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, that they are healthy enough to fly, yet the pilots failed to report as required by law that they were also collecting veterans benefits for disabilities that could bar them from the cockpit. Sending a shout out to a Revelationary 2. Peace to you, brother. We going in tonight. Moving forward. Veterans Affairs investigators discovered the inconsistencies more than 2 years ago by cross-checking federal databases, but the FAA has kept many details of the case a secret from the public. I'm going to read that part again. But the FAA has kept many of the details of the case a secret from the public. Why would they do that? If they've known they have pilots guilty of this type of situation, why would they keep this information a secret from the public? Can you say they are being complicit? Yeah. All right, we're going to move forward. Later in the article, it says the agency has been investigating about 4,800 pilots who might have submitted incorrect, or the truth is, false information as a part of their medical applications. The FAA has now closed about half of those cases, it was said, and has ordered about 60 pilots who Lyinhg said posed a clear danger to aviation safety. It's ordered about 60 pilots to cease flying on an emergency basis while their records are reviewed. Okay, let's chop that up here real quick, family. First off, they're investigating 4,800 pilots, the FAA, for them, as it reads here, that who might have submitted incorrect or false information. So basically, they're lying on their medical evaluations and information and documents that they had to submit to the FAA. Okay, now notice how, again, I told you about the systematic white supremacy, how it supports most of our white brothers and sisters, because they play with the words and try to massage what's really going on, try to make it not sound so bad. They're lying on their actual official health evaluations that are a part of them keeping their pilot's license or renewing their pilot's license so they can continue to fly and make money. Even though at the same time they're collecting disability benefits from the Veterans Administration. Do you see it? And here it says the FAA has closed about half of those cases. Wait, so the FAA has closed, it was 4,800 cases approximately, and now it says they've closed about half of those cases. So about 2,400 cases have been closed. And out of 2,400 cases, they've ordered about 60 who the FAA felt posed a clear danger to aviation safety. Pause right there. Why is it not that all 4,800 pilots who have lied on their official healthcare information to maintain their pilot's license, why is it not that all of them, every one of them, pose a clear danger to aviation safety if they're lying on their health information, their official information to keep their licenses? Let's continue. About 600 pilots under the investigation are licensed to fly for passenger airlines. So at least 6 of them have a license to fly passengers, including commercial licenses. But they're lying on their health reports to the FAA to continue to fly around, being in basically control of all of the passengers' lives, while they're lying about health issues, major health issues that they have going on, that they're getting disability benefits from the Veterans Administration. Let's continue. Most of the rest hold commercial licenses. I repeat, most of the rest, beyond the 600, hold commercial licenses that allow them to fly for hire, as I just described, including cargo firms, corporate clients, or tour companies. Yeah, some of the flights maybe that you have recently taken. I mean, if you knew that your pilot or pilots on the flights that you're booking were lying on their health information to the FAA to keep their license. I mean, if you were aware of that and knew that many of the pilots that are flying the planes, maybe the one you're about to get on, has a pilot or both pilots lying, would you get on that plane? Would you take that flight? KD Smooth would not. As OG Bo Winkle said, hell no, to the no. Let's continue. Experts said that the inquiry has exposed long-standing vulnerabilities. There's another one of those massage words in the FAA's medical system for screening pilots, and that the sheer number of unreported health problems presents a risk to aviation safety. While pilots must pass regular government contracted health exams, the tests often are cursory, and the FAA, I keep saying it wrong, relies on aviators to self-report conditions. Okay, let's back up. They just massaged that. While pilots must pass regular contracted health exams, that's the requirement to maintain their license. The tests themselves often are cursory, meaning they're not serious. They just operational paperwork or whatever, just to meet the requirement and get through it. They're not really serious health evaluations, not taken seriously. And the FAA relies on the pilots. Yeah, the ones that's lying. It relies on the pilots themselves to self-report conditions that can otherwise be difficult to detect, such as depression or post-traumatic stress, PTSD, according to physicians who conduct the exams. Pause right there. They have required contracted health exams that have been being conducted by physicians, but the exams that the physicians have been conducting, the required health exams, are cursory. Did you get that? They're not really done in a serious fashion. So you got the FAA in on the scam. You got the pilots themselves And you also have now the physicians that are just putting signatures and approving all these health falsified, lied health reports and just pushing them through. I told you. I'm going to show you white supremacy, the other facet where it supports many of our white brothers and sisters out there. It helps them get away with all kinds of crimes and continued lies that build their lives, strengthen their family security and wealth. Yeah, let's continue. All right. Many veterans minimize their ailments to the FAA so they can keep flying, but exaggerate them to the VA to maximize their disability payments. You see what they're doing? I'm going to say that again, just in case you didn't catch it. Many veterans minimize their ailments to the FAA so they can keep their license, their flying license, and keep getting paid. But they turn around and exaggerate those same elements to the VA so they can also get paid from the VA for medical disability payments. So they get paid by the airlines or whoever they flying for and the VA. Do you see that, family? They're getting paid on both sides. They're playing both sides. There are people out there who are trying to play both sides of the game. Federal contracting records obtained by the Washington Post show the FAA's Office of Aerospace Medicine allotted $3.6 million starting last year to hire medical experts and other staff members to re-examine certification records for 5,000 pilots who pose potential risk to flying the public. Wait a minute. Pause there. It says the FFA, I did it again. The FAA, they allotted $3.6 million to hire new or additional medical experts and other staff to re-examine the certifications that their current physicians have been just signing off on and accepting, not verifying. Do you see that? Okay, let's continue. The FAA used a risk-based approach to identify veterans whose medical conditions pose the greatest risk to safety and instructed them to cease flying while the agency reviews their cases. The vast majority of these pilots may continue to operate safely while we complete the reconciliation process. There's another one of them smoothed over words, right? We're trying to reconcile the records. No, you're investigating, trying to confirm who lied, who's been lying, and then decide what the response is going to be, basically. In many of the cases closed by the FAA, pilots have been ordered to correct their records. Stop right there. So they lied on their medical records to the FAA. They didn't get fired. They didn't lose their jobs. They weren't held accountable, but many of them, of the pilots, have been ordered to correct their records and take new health exams. Where they do that at, family? If you turn in a document, an official document to most any entity, it literally says on the document in certain wordage that you swear that this information is truthful, etc., etc., etc. And then what the penalties are if the information you put on that job application, that license application, or whatever it may be, what the penalties will be if it's found that you lied, this information you put on here is not true. But they didn't just say there was no penalties. They said in many of the cases they have already closed. The FAA pilots have been ordered to correct their records and take new health exams. Some have been temporarily grounded while the results and information are reviewed. So it's giving literal liars the ability to go back and go, oh, you caught me. You got me. The truth is this information. Here you go. Okay, can I go back to flying now? Can you give me my, release my license now? Yes? Okay, good. No problem. No harm, no foul. Even though I lied or we lied and risked all the lives of the passengers that we've been flying. Yeah. Aviation authorities also learned that some pilots did not disclose their VA disability benefits because FAA contracted physicians advised them to withhold the information. Stop right there. I told y'all I'm going to show y'all the other facet of systematic white supremacy and how it supports itself, how it's baked in the cake, how they all work together to maintain the position and power and opportunities and advantages that they hold. In this example, aviation authorities learned that some pilots did not disclose their VA disability benefits because the FAA contracted physicians, the doctors. Some of the pilots say, hey man, I'm on disability with the VA for this, that, and the third. I'm struggling out here. I have bad dreams. I have bad thoughts, or whatever the case may be, right? Or I've been diagnosed with this or that. And the actual the FAA doctors, the physicians advised those pilots, don't put that on this paper. Just don't write it on there. And go ahead and turn this form in. Don't even talk about it. Literally, doctors, licensed doctors telling their patients in this example to lie on official medical forms to the FAA. What you're going to see in this article, it doesn't say any of the doctors have been held accountable for doing this or have been brought to justice, right? It's not, you trust me, keep listening for it, but you ain't gonna hear it. All right. The VA, the Veterans Administration Inspector General's Office, is also investigating many of the 4,800 pilots to determine if any should be referred to the Justice Department to face charges for defrauding the benefit system. Wait a minute. The VA Inspector General's Office is investigating many, why not all of the pilots all 4,800 or 5,000, whatever it is, to determine if any should be referred to the Justice Department and face charges? Family, I'm going to show you here in a moment, but I'm going to show you the proof. lying or knowingly falsifying or lying to the government. The Veteran Administration is the United States government. Lying to them or lying on government documentation comes with a literal criminal charge. It's a felony. There's no bones about it. That's the law. But here in this portion of the article, it says the VA Inspector General Office is investigating many of the 4,800 pilots. And remember, I told y'all before, investigating is not to confirm guilt and file charges. Investigating in the systematic white supremacy is, let's see if we can find a way to not charge you if you're a white person. Let's see if we can find a way to reduce or minimize your charges, so we're only really gonna give you just kind of a little slap on the wrist and you can go on with your life and move on. Do you see that, fam? I'm gonna show you the actual laws here in just a moment. They're lying to the federal government as far as the part collecting disability benefits, but yet they're still working as pilots, many passenger pilots. So basically, family, if you haven't already figured out, they're only supposed to be doing one or the other, not both. They don't qualify to do both. If you have a medical issue that is worthy of collecting disability benefits from the VA, then you collect those disability benefits from the VA. That's it. You don't also get to be a pilot and fly around unsafely risking the lives of passengers as a pilot. You don't get to do both. Do you see that? So that's basically what's going on. Or if you're healthy enough to fly as a pilot, then you cannot be receiving disability benefits from the federal government. Do you see the trickeration? Yeah. Let's continue in this article. Court records show at least 10 pilots have been prosecuted. Remember, I told you, this is a felony to do this when it comes to collecting the benefits from the VA since 2018. So out of almost 5,000 pilots, they've only prosecuted 10. Let that sink in, fam. They've only prosecuted 10 since 2018 on federal charges of lying to the FFA by hiding their veterans' disability benefits and obscuring their health histories, including 2 whose cases were discovered only after they crashed aircrafts. Is this really sinking in, family? It should be by now. Let's move forward. The FAA has known for 2 decades, 20 years, that tens of thousands of pilots are probably, one of them smoothed out words, are probably flying with serious undisclosed medical conditions. Y'all thought I was playing when I said, before we started, I said the FAA, the physicians, the government, the VA, all of them lying. They're all in on this. One more again. The FAA has known for 2 decades, for 20 years, that tens of thousands of pilots are flying. I'm going to leave out that smoothed out probably word, are flying with serious undisclosed medical conditions, based on past investigations and audits, and experts who have testified before Congress. But transportation officials had long resisted pressure from lawmakers and watchdog groups to expand background checks on pilots by running their names through the medical disability databases maintained by other federal and state agencies. Remember, I told you the support, the extra help that the other facet of white supremacy does. It helps promote, support, and give those opportunities or maintain the opportunities for many of our white brothers and sisters out here. In this case, the pilots, right? In this case, it's actually the transportation officials helping maintain white supremacy. And one more additional note, family, if you're one of my white listeners, you keep saying white supremacy. How is it, there's people of all different races and whatnot that are involved in the FAA, the VA, the transportation officials, the physicians. Yes, you are correct. But that list of entities or groups of people are primarily made up of y'all, my white brothers and sisters. Yeah, there's a few minorities sprinkled in and there, but the minorities in these entities, in these groups, they may be in there, but they don't really control or have power in these groups to really do much. They're just a part of the group. They work their way up and to a good job, and they're getting paid, and they just kind of there for the most part. But overall, those that are in the positions of power, as well as the majority, let's just take the pilots alone. Most people would agree and should know. Most pilots, let's just say commercial pilots, are so-called white brothers and sisters. That's just a fact. Most of the officials at the FAA, at the transportation officials, the physicians that have been lying, all these people that have been lying, they're mostly our white brothers and sisters. That's my point. Okay? So miss me with all this denial, this satanic denial that I'm going to show you, that while some of y'all are thinking and it just automatically went to deny and lie and find a loophole and all of that, because that's a part of the sickness of satanic white supremacy. That's the first response. It's automatic. Most of y'all don't even have to think about it. Y'all just automatically go to it instead of going, okay, you got me, or you got us. What do we need to do now to atone and be held accountable? Right? So again, but transportation officials, these are officials, some associated with the government, as well as with the FAA, had long resisted pressure from lawmakers and watchdog groups to expand background checks on pilots by running their names through medical disability databases maintained by the federal and state agencies. Okay? Let's move on. Like I said, I'm not going to read y'all. I'm just giving y'all the highlights. I definitely strongly encourage you to go to this Washington Post article and read the entire article, man. Your literal jaw will drop. It's that bad. Okay? And we're going to continue, but before we do, smash the like button, share this report on all your social media with all your peoples, and be sure to be subscribed to One Brothas Mind, where we bring you the information and facts you need. Okay, to continue with the article, the Washington Post article. In March, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, an influential trade organization, called on the FAA to declare an amnesty for those swept up in the review. Pause. Again, I'm going to show y'all. All the places where they're lying, doing everything they can to get out of being held accountable for lying to the government, lying to the FAA, putting people's lives at risk. Here's another one. As it read, the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, these are two other groups made of and controlled by predominantly y'all, our white brothers and sisters, right? They called on the FAA to declare an amnesty for those swept up in the review, for those that got caught lying, the pilots that got caught lying. Let's just give them amnesty. Let's give them a chance, give them a little time to turn in the correct information, and then if they do, no harm, no foul. Let's just do that, guys. Come on, guys. I mean, really? What are we doing here? Do you see the face or faces of Ha-Satan? The group said pilots often inadvertently, there's another one of them smooth over words, that pilots often inadvertently, who fills out an official document, especially one to the government or some significant official entity for a job or for a license, and inadvertently make mistakes on the medical record or the medical certification form. You're literally, this is your license to fly. Who inadvertently makes mistakes? Nobody. They flat out lie on the form. But they say inadvertently because it asks overly broad questions and is difficult to navigate. Wait a minute, hold up. These dudes are pilots. If they can't navigate a medical certification form, they shouldn't be pilots up in the air. Is anybody listening? Is anybody paying attention? Are you serious right now? Let's continue. This complex issue, wait a minute, now it's a complex issue. So look at what they're doing. They're saying inadvertent mistakes. The form is overly broad questions and is difficult to navigate. And now it's a complex issue. And as here at One Brothas Mind, I tell y'all, whenever they say it's complicated, whatever it is, you talking to anybody, especially many of our white brothers and sisters, and they say something is complicated, and that goes for many of our so-called black brothers. They go, it's complicated. Like when you ask them about are they in a relationship, they go, it's complicated. That's real popular. That means Satan's in charge. That's what that means. Okay? Because if Satan ain't in charge, it ain't complicated. You just tell the truth. It's one or the other. Okay? But they say that this is a complicated issue, and it would be easy to just point fingers at the thousands of pilots that they caught, I'm adding this, lying in this issue. Okay? The thousands that they caught committing federal crimes of fraud and falsification of documentation and information. Thousands. Let's move forward. The FAA's review has led some pilots who served in the military to complain. So you saw their first so many efforts to schmooze the wording and make it not sound so bad, and hey, let's just get some amnesty. Give us a chance to clean it up, to resubmit, to correct. My bad, I just made a mistake and I didn't erase what I wrote. I needed to write something else on here. Erase the check by, I checked the wrong box. You saw all those efforts already. Oh, they're not done. Hasatan is not done with his lies and all of his attempts to escape being held accountable legally. The FAA's review has led some pilots who served in the military to complain they are being treated unfairly. Wait a minute. You lied on your medical examination documentation to maintain your pilot's license, but somehow you're being treated unfairly. Well, let's see. Let's have a look at this. If they're going to shine a light on veterans, they need to shine a light everywhere, says Rick Mangini, a 52, a former Army pilot who has been grounded from his job flying a cargo company since his medical certificate was not renewed last month, since he was caught lying. He says they need to be checking everywhere, not just VA. I would agree with that part. But right now, we done caught you, Rick Mangini. So you need to be held accountable. We have to hold you accountable, don't we? So your defense is everybody else doing it. Why y'all just picking us out, the veterans? That's the defense. Everybody else sinning. Everybody else lying about all kind of stuff. Why y'all just picking on us? That's literally Rick Mangini's defense. The FAA notified him, Rick Mangini, in May that he was under review for failing to disclose a sleep apnea issue, for which he receives VA disability benefits. Okay. For some of y'all that may not know, people that have significant sleep apnea issues, are especially a condition to the degree that they're actually collecting disability benefits for, that means their sleep apnea, which basically is a condition where you're not sleeping fully or getting a full night's sleep when you sleep at night or whenever you sleep. You may be asleep, but you're not actually reaching, many people don't reach REM sleep. So their bodies are not resting. They're not being rejuvenated and refreshed when they so-called are sleeping. So then when they are awake and they go on to do regular activities during the day, driving a car, moving around, shopping or whatever, even flying airplanes, they are subject to actually falling asleep while doing those activities because they are physically, their bodies are still physically exhausted because their bodies have not fully rejuvenated through a full night's sleep. That's one of the issues that sleep apnea causes. So do you want to be on a plane that the pilot or pilots both have significant sleep apnea? If you know, if there's a sign, our pilots have sleep apnea, but don't worry about it. We're going to be all right. We're going to get there. Are you still going to get on that plane? KD Smooth says, and family, y'all got to excuse me. Hell no. To the no. So that's wow. But let's continue. This Mangini, who wants y'all to look at everybody else, because everybody else is lying like me, who lives in Killen, Texas, said he was not aware and had to provide specifics about whether or not he checked the box on his application. I'm not sure if I did or not. Yes, you are. Mangini goes on to say, I know a lot of pilots. Now he's throwing everybody else under the bus. Do you see the moves, the maneuvers that Satan does to avoid, how far Satan is willing to go to avoid being held accountable? I know a lot of the pilots who have told me about medical conditions they aren't telling the FAA. He said, but what they're doing to veterans, that's the definition of harassment. Wait a minute. How is that harassment when they caught you lying on your form? How are they harassing you, Satan? Do y'all see it? Let's continue. Oh, that's him. Yeah, that's him. That's his name, Rick Mangini. This is how his mind works. This pilot, this so-called human being. This is literally the spirit that he has inside of him. What we just went over. Can't hold me accountable for lying. Where they do that at? I'm a white American. I'm a great American. I get to break laws and not be held accountable, not receive justice. There's a whole bunch of other people breaking laws out there. Hey, y'all got to get them if y'all gonna get me. If not, y'all are discriminating against me. That's how this man's mind works. My white brother here on the screen, Rick Mangini. Let's move forward. Again, I'm not reading this whole article. It's a long article. It's a lot, y'all. In fact, before we go forward, family, at this time, we're going to have a brief commercial, non-commercial break, and we will continue here at One Brothas Mind in just a moment. Now, family, let's continue. The article goes on to say pilots who have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions are not automatically prohibited from flying. Again, pilots who have been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues or conditions are not automatically prohibited from flying. But the FAA requires them to be closely monitored because their conditions and medications can affect their ability to safely handle an aircraft. That's just a little FYI there for you, family. Okay, the article goes on where another person, this missile, has also urged the VA officials to review the pilot's disability files for possible cases of fraud. Because again, as I said earlier, if they're out still flying aircrafts and still have their pilot's license and working to whatever degree, they're not supposed to be collecting VA disability benefits. That's fraud. That's a crime, a federal crime. That's a felony. It goes on with a person, this Louis Selly, a former executive director of the American Legion, said he suspected many of the pilots under investigation either are too sick to fly or they have exaggerated their disabilities to the VA or are defrauding, or I should say, and are defrauding taxpayers just outright. Yeah, it's just, again, he suspected many of the pilots under investigation either are too sick to fly, have exaggerated their disabilities to the VA, or, what it should say, and are defrauding taxpayers just outright, collecting disabilities from the VA while still working and being paid as pilots. Yeah. Let's move forward. It goes on to read, the FAA has known about flaws in its medical screening process since 2005. Stop right there. Here at One Brothas Mind, I call Cap. 2005, in my opinion, here at One Brothas Mind, is just the earliest date that they've been able to document that there's been flaws in the medical screening process. Family, this double dipping that pilots have been doing, especially a lot of the vet pilots have been doing in this system, this is the system. It has been going on, in my opinion, for decades, if not more than a century. Not just since 2005. Okay. Goes on to say, in an investigation dubbed Operation Safe Pilot, that operation uncovered a scam that had run undetected for years. Exactly what I just said. About 3,200 pilots in Northern California alone were collecting Social Security disability benefits, claiming they were too sick to work, but reporting to the FAA that they were medically fit to fly. 3,200 pilots in California by itself. Many worked as commercial pilots, even though, under the law, those receiving disability compensation from Social Security can only work limited hours, if at all. Let's continue. The U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco prosecuted 45 of... Let's back up. The U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco, California, prosecuted 45 of the most serious cases for fraud. How many cases did they have? 3,200. Where they're literally collecting disability benefits illegally. But the U.S., in the next paragraph, the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco only prosecuted 45 of the most serious cases for fraud and related charges, winning convictions or guilty pleas in all 45 of them. Not 3,200, 45. So only 45 of these individuals, which statistically basing is most likely 100% of our white brothers and sisters, only 45 of them actually received charges and convictions out of 3,200 thieves, criminal thieves. Officials said they could have prosecuted hundreds of additional pilots. Why didn't they? There's another facet or feature of systematic white supremacy, family. The officials are also in on the scam of protecting our white brothers and sisters that are lying, cheating the system, and stealing taxpayers' dollars. The actual officials whose job it is to prosecute thieves. Did you see that? They literally admitted we could have prosecuted hundreds of them, but we just, but the cases would have clogged the justice system. That's why we just gotta let everybody else go. The other 3,165, we just gotta let them go. But they're stopping and frisking us, family, as we walk up and down our neighborhoods on the sidewalk, throwing us on the ground, pushing us up against the walls, slamming us into the cars. And we have done nothing that they know of. We have committed no crime. In this example, they know. Most of these pilots in California, 3,200 of them, have been stealing federal funds from the VA disability Social Security officers. But they didn't prosecute them or go out. They had known crimes, known federal crimes, but they didn't prosecute them because the cases would have clogged the justice system. Do you see the face of Satan, family? Let's continue. At the time, aviation officials acknowledged that their medical screening depended on pilots being truthful about their health histories. Depending on their age and the class of license they fly under, pilots must take physical exams every 6 months to 5 years. The FAA does not require its doctors to review any of the pilot's medical records outside of the AVA system. So the doctors are reviewing the medical documents that the pilots are turning into the FAA to maintain their licenses, but they're not reviewing anything outside of the FFA. Family, that's been happening on purpose. That's the trickeration built in. It's baked in the cake. We know this is going on. Everybody in all these different entities, they've known this stuff has been going on for decades. And they just smile about it because they're all in on it. They're all getting away with it. They're all stealing money. They're all criminal. No biggie. We're not going to use these databases and systems to look at one another and screen and filter through to see if there's any cross references or issues. No. Why would we do that? That would identify those of us that are lying. Hey, Bob, can you believe that? Why would we look at this database and this other database and look for the same names, therefore identifying who's been lying? That's what's going on here. Can you see the face of Satan? And it's not just in this issue, family. This is how the whole system of white supremacy is set up in every facet. And this is aviation, policing, education, the corporations, the banks and bankers. every facet, whatever you want to mention. This is how it's set up. This is how it's always been set up. Don't miss that, family. Let's continue. FAA officials said they don't have enough staff members or money. Stop right there. First, they didn't prosecute and deal with this issue because it would, in California, because it would clog the court system. Now, we also don't deal with it as far as the FAA is concerned because we don't have enough staff members or money. Do you see the face of Satan? They also question whether the enhanced enforcement would do much to improve public safety. If we did have the staff members and the money to really check everything and make sure everybody has the ability to fly and the ones that don't or not, if we really did our jobs that we're required to do, that we're being paid to do, it's not really going to improve public safety anyway. So why do our jobs? I told y'all not going to believe how bad this is. You're not going to believe it if I wasn't showing it to you right on the screen. Let's continue. In another report, the FAA cannot punish non-compliance if it does not attempt to even look for it. They're not even looking. For decades, they haven't been looking, if not more than a century. Again, y'all see me scrolling, I'm not even reading all of it. I'm just giving you highlights. Pilot medical issues were the cause of 9% of fatal aviation accidents during a 10-year period from 2012 to 2022. Stop right there. That 9% of accidents and those people and passengers and pilots affected, maybe deleted, they would have had a chance to still be living their lives if, let me go back up to it, the FAA was actually punishing non-compliance and checking this database and information in regards to disabilities. If they actually was looking for it, right? Let's continue. Some examples. A fatal crash in Europe in March 2015 raised new alarms about the risk of pilots with undisclosed mental health conditions. Andreas Lubitz, the young co-pilot who authorities say deliberately flew a Germanwings airliner into the French Alps. Those are mountains, y'all. He deliberately flew a Germanwings plane into mountains to collide, not to fly over, see who those look nice. No, a collision. He did it deliberately. They said he had been treated for suicidal tendencies and depressive episodes, but hid his condition from his employer. That's him. Do you see the face of Satan? Y'all thought I was playing. I'm skipping past. It gives more on about him, but let's go down. I'm trying to get through this report quickly, y'all, as quick as I can. The FAA's investigation quickly ran into resistance from pilots, unions, and industry groups. Those groups began lobbying authorities to allow aviators to resubmit. Wait a minute, we lied on the first document we submitted. So now y'all got to let us make the corrections and resubmit them. That's just what you got to do. That's only fair, right? Y'all can't prosecute us or do nothing about us lying. Y'all got to let us resubmit their medical applications without penalty for failing to disclose that they were collecting disability benefits. Satan never wants to be held accountable by any means necessary, family. Another example, Noah Felice, a 72-year-old Navy veteran, was convicted in December of making false statements to the FAA after he crashed a Cessna during an aborted takeoff in Rochester, New York. Authorities investigating the accident blamed it on pilot error and discovered that Felice had failed to disclose that he had 6 prior criminal convictions. Stop right there. You go try to get a job at McDonald's and they had a little box. Have you been convicted of a felony? That you have to check off or sign yes or no on or something. They got these pilots out here just not filling out the box or lying about it, or it may not even be on the form that they had to fill out. But in any event, Felice failed to disclose that he had 6 prior criminal convictions and was and not only, I told y'all it's gonna be so bad. Y'all didn't believe me. As Coach Prime said, do y'all believe me now? Do you believe me now? He had 6 prior criminal convictions and was collecting $2,900 a month in veterans benefits for post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and was flying planes, flying Cessnas. He is scheduled for sentencing in September and faces up to 5 years in prison. Whew. Yeah. Another example, Gabrielle DeBella, a lawyer for Felice, criticized the FAA for a history of pursuing mass criminal charges against pilots rather than implementing any sort of system that would simplify or simply allow them to verify the information provided on the medical applications. Okay, wait, hold up. The lawyer for this Felice, the person with 6 prior criminal convictions and that was stealing veterans disability money and that had filed a false medical form, didn't disclose his medical issues. His lawyer said that, well, it's the FAA's fault because they don't have a system that verifies the information that my client lied about on his medical document, on his medical application. They don't have a verification system, so my client's innocent. And it's actually the FAA, because they don't have this verification system to catch and find when people like my client are lying on their medical applications. It's the FAA's fault. Do you, say it with me now, do you see the face of Satan? Another example, Matthew Jones, a 35-year-old Army veteran who served in Iraq, pleaded guilty to fraud charges in December after being ignored. Weather warnings. Let me back up. He pleaded guilty to fraud charges in December after he ignored weather warnings and flew a helicopter into a Tennessee mountainside, deleting a passenger. Matthew Jones had failed to disclose to the FAA that he was receiving veterans benefits for seizures and also a history of strokes and weed use. Jones, who was left paralyzed below the waist, admitted to duping customers, including the passenger who he unalived, that he was a certified flight instructor. So he lied on his medical form and he's lying to customers, even the one that he was responsible for not being here anymore. Say it with me now. Do you see the face of Satan? Pilots must request waivers from the FAA for a number of medical conditions, including mental illness, some cardiac issues, and substance abuse. But the wait for those waivers can take months in the FAA's understaffed medical certification system. One reason pilots say they limit what they report. So we lie on our reports because it takes y'all, the FAA, so long to get back with us and let us know if we're going to be okay or not, if we still got our license. So it takes so long, we just don't even put the information on there so we can keep our license and keep earning our money as pilots. Totally based on lies. I told y'all it's going to be very, very bad. Another example, Joseph LaRusso, a Colorado-based aviation law attorney whose firm has fielded hundreds of queries from military veterans under FAA scrutiny since 2022, said it is an open secret that probably greater than 85% of pilots are lying on their medical forms. 85% of pilots are lying on their medical forms. Yeah. Because they don't want to flag conditions that might drag out approval or renewal of their licenses. Are you serious right now? Y'all didn't believe me. I told y'all it was going to be so bad you were not going to believe it. Let's continue. Really, or he goes on to say, this attorney, they're only making the skies more dangerous, LaRusso said, of the FAA's approach to mental health. He's not saying his clients and the pilots are making the skies more dangerous for lying. No. He's saying the FAA's mental health screening system is making the skies more dangerous because they're not catching, the system is not catching the lies good enough. Let's continue, man. FAA officials said they have now reiterated to aviation physicians, the ones that's been signing off on all these falsified documents and helping the lies. In fact, the physicians that's been telling the pilots, don't put that on there. Just don't put that on there. Okay, this good just like it is. Just you be all right. Don't put that on. Those physicians, They've been telling their physicians that they are not allowed to advise pilots to hide their VA disabilities from aviation authorities. Whew. Mitchell Gerber, former chief medical officer for the NTSB, said in an email that given the FAA's reliance on self-reporting, falsification or failure to disclose important medical information may put the safety, listen to that, family, put the safety of the pilot and their passengers at risk. Ain't no may about it. That's another one of them smooth things over words. Some pilots who have been charged with falsifying their records say there's a disconnect between the federal government standards, the VA standards for disability, for determining if a veteran is disabled, and its rules for certifying aviators. Oh, so wait. Now the pilots are saying the disability for the VA should have, their requirements should be the same as the requirements to get your pilot's license with the FAA. It all should be the same. So that's confusing us. And we can't figure out which way to go of who and which and how we need to. We want to steal the money, the disability money, because that's free money, you knows. We want to steal that. And we still want to fly planes so we can steal money and lie to our passengers and peoples, so we can keep stealing and making that money at the same time, and it's just confusing. It's a conflictionation. We don't know what to do. So we just are trying to figure it out. Do you see the face of Satan in regards to systematic white supremacy? The facet that supports, uplifts, give opportunity, sustains many of our white brothers and sisters. Let's continue. Adam Lyinhg, a former Air Force Special Operations pilot, lost his flying job for Delta Airlines and his pilot license after he was charged in 2018 with lying to the FAA for not disclosing VA disability benefits for depression. As Lyinhg, 44, who served in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, said military pilots rarely disclose mental health issues because they are dedicated to their mission and don't want to let down their units. Wait, hold up. They lie on the FAA medical application forms after they have left the service. They're no longer on military service. They lie on them because they are dedicated to their mission. What mission? You ain't on no mission no more. You back in civilian world. And they don't want to let down their units. What unit? You flying a passenger plane, a commercial plane, a cargo plane. You're not in the service anymore? Yeah. You'll get your wings taken away. Yeah. Prosecutors dropped the charges against him. The dude that thinks he's still on a mission. They dropped the charges against him. Like I said, now you got the prosecutors in on the scam. Systematic white supremacy. They dropped the charges against the dude that still thinks he's on a mission years later as part of a deal. They played Let's Make a Deal, or basically a plea deal, in which he agreed to provide 100 hours of community service and not work in the aviation industry, not forever, but for the next year. So after a year's over, he can get his license back and go back to flying planes of whatever kind he flies. So he's not letting down his troops on the mission. The missions that he's still flying. The prosecutors let him do this. Y'all go ahead and say it. I'm not even going to say it this time. Y'all say it. Yeah. Okay. Lyinhg said that his health condition wasn't serious. Wait. Somebody that still think they flying missions that ain't flying missions, that's not serious? And that VA officials only assessed him as having a history of mild depression. I'm only depressed. Okay, well, I'm about to go because I got another mission to fly. But don't worry about me. I'm only depressed. I only have mild depression. We're off. Sorry, family. I got to sneeze and it won't come out. But I'm going to get there. He got his license back 4 years later so he can fly some more missions. And while he's no longer in the military. And now works for a charter flight company as a Boeing 737 pilot. Ooh. Other pilots have blamed their plight on what they describe as VA laxed oversight. So first you saw them say the FAA, their system is too lax. It's not catching our lies. Now you've seen Satan here say, well, the VA system, the disability system is now too lax because they're not catching our lies over there. It's not our lies. It's the systems that's not catching our lies that we put on the forms. That's what it is. There you go. It's not our fault. Right? Not our fault. I told y'all. Let's go on. We got much more. Nicholas King Bayer, a 37-year-old Navy veteran from Northern California with a commercial pilot's license, was charged with lying to the FAA by concealing his VA disability payments for major depressive disorder. At his 2020 trial, transcripts show Bayer's attorneys played down the condition and blamed the VA doctor for overdiagnosing him, saying that Bayer has suffered some grief and unhappiness when his first marriage fell apart while he was in the Navy. So now, the next lie and reasoning and reason they're lying, at least in this case, is because the actual VA's doctor was crazy and was wrong. The VA doctor who saw Nicholas King Bayer was having a major depressive disorder. That doctor was wrong. That was an overdiagnosis. And that's why y'all trying to charge me and convict me and hold me accountable to this. It was the VA doctor's fault. If he didn't overdiagnose me with my major depressive disorder, everything would be just fine. I was just, I lost my wife, and I was just unhappy. I had grief. That's all. It wasn't all that. But prosecutors noted that Bayer never objected to the $979 in monthly disability payments he had been receiving for his depression for 4 years. A judge found him guilty and sentenced him to, how long y'all think? It's right on the screen in the middle. How long? He lied to the government. He's stolen over $32,000 from the VA. This is taxpayers' money. He's stolen, according to his testimony. But the judge only gave him 1 year's probation. Systematic white supremacy. Remember the little slap on the wrist? Yeah. In a phone interview, Bayer said it was unfair that the FAA was cracking down on pilots who are veterans. This is not fair. And not those who never served in uniform. Why they ain't going after everybody else? Ain't that the same satanic mindset that was from the guy I showed y'all the picture of earlier? It ain't just me. I ain't the only one out here lying. Most everybody lying. Why y'all ain't getting them? Y'all can't do nothing to me if y'all ain't doing nothing to them. Personally, I think it's crazy, he said. It's discrimination if you ain't getting everybody else. I mean, really. He said the FAA revoked his pilot's license after his conviction, but he reapplied. Guess what happened? Guess what happened after he reapplied? And finally won it back a few months ago. Yeah. Y'all say it. I'm not even going to say it. Y'all say it. Let's continue. We almost done, family. Here, Keith Roxo, a former Navy fighter pilot and aerospace physician who is director of operations for the aviation medical consulting firm Wingman Med. He acknowledged that some VA disabilities are just disabilities on paper. So they not only lied to the FAA, now they done switched the whole argument around, their whole defense around and saying the disabilities that's on record at the VA ain't really, these people ain't really disability, even though we all getting paid for them, they ain't really disability. It's just on paper. What's worth more to you, the disability pay or the job with United? This Roxo, this attorney, he's like, you got to pick one. Don't file for disability and keep a job with United. Or let your job with United go and file and keep your disability money. Guess what most of these pilots are saying? Man, you crazy. No, we deserve both. I'm sorry, y'all. So there you have it, family. Again, I encourage you to go to the Washington Post and read the full article. I just went through the highlights. Go read this whole article. Yeah. So with all that said, isn't this an additional example of stolen wealth? They're literally stealing taxpayer dollars from the VA through the disability benefits. But none of this is their fault. None of this should they be held accountable for. Family, only Satan has that belief. So as y'all hearing this truth that's being revealed, this is how they're looking out there. They going off. They're having a problem because the truth is being revealed. They're being exposed. They're fully being exposed for the crimes that they are committing. Fully. But no, you can't hold us accountable. No. Don't know. Who do you think you are? Trying to hold us accountable to the laws that we made. The only law and the real law is I'm white and I say so. That's the law. Not the laws that we hold you responsible and y'all responsible to. No, Really, there ain't no law because we make the laws. So we are the law. If we say so. Who do you think you are? Yeah. That's what they're doing right now, family. That's what they're doing. So, with that being said, family, let's look at briefly here what happens to you. What happens to regular citizens, especially so-called black people, when they get caught lying on applications, let's say for a job. You get fired. Did you hear that for 5,000 pilots? Did 5,000 pilots or up to 5,000 get fired for lying? Nope. What if you lie on applications for a professional license of some sort? What happens? You see it on your screen to the left. Your professional license gets revoked, don't it? Did up to 5,000 pilots licenses get revoked? Nope. No, let's look at a couple other things. You know how they do us so-called black people? You know, if they even allege, whether they're able to prove it or not, they don't have to prove it. They can just allege that you have attained some money, property, or wealth somehow illegally, whether you at home or you out on the road and you got a large amount of cash on you. They ain't got to prove nothing. They can just say, well, we believe, we think you done got this money or you got this house and this car by doing a crime we think you are doing, like selling drugs or some other kind of way that's illegal. We think you are. So we're just going to go ahead and seize this house, this property. And yeah, you're evicted, by the way. Get your stuff, get out. We're going to seize this car. We're going to tow it away. And that cash you got in that little bag right there, that 10, 20, 30,000, we're going to need that too. Give us all that. Oh, you can possibly get this back, but you got to bring in proof and prove that you got this money, this property legally to get it back. Good luck with that. Did they do that to any of these up to 5,000 pilots who've been stealing money, not just from the community, not from Pookie and Ray Ray and them. They've been stealing literally thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in taxpayer money by way of the Social Security Disability Administration payments. But according to this report, there may be more information that comes out later, but their properties didn't get seized, their vehicles didn't get seized, their monies, their bank accounts didn't get seized, did they? And You didn't see anywhere in this report where it says nearly 5,000 pilots have now been convicted of federal felonies and are in the process of either have been sentenced or in the process of being sentenced. You didn't read that nowhere or hear that nowhere in this article, did you? Nope. Let's continue. These guys, they got you up this high up in the air. And at any moment, they can have some sort of mental breakdown, some sort of issue. And now this plane is in some sort of unexpected fast descent. What you gonna do? Yeah. So I told y'all I was gonna show y'all the laws. Here they are right on your screen. At the top, making a false statement to a federal agent, a financial institution, or a government entity, which that's where the VA comes in, the government entity, is a felony crime all alone or by itself. If convicted of U.S. Code 1001, you are facing a 5 to 8 year federal prison term. Quick question. Did any of y'all hear in the article and the information we just went over that any of these pilots that actually were convicted, the very few that were convicted, received 5 to 8 year prison terms? Nope. The other law that's on the books, whoever enters into an agreement, combination, or conspiracy to defraud the United States, this is where it comes into the disability, Social Security disability fraud and theft, or any department, agency thereof, veterans disability, by obtaining or aiding to obtain the payment, can you say disability payments, or allowance of any false, fictitious, or fraudulent claim, shall be fined under this title or in prison not more than 10 years or both. Fines and up to 10 years. You didn't hear that in this article with these pilots, because we live in a system of white supremacy, family. And this is the other facet of white supremacy, the facet that gives the opportunity, that supports, maintains the status quo of white supremacy. And in the rare blue moon event that some of our white brothers and sisters actually commit crimes that are documented, that they got all the evidence for, they just get a slap on the wrist. Not the sentences that's on your screen. Do you see that? Yeah. It's injustice. White supremacy, systematic white supremacy is injustice. Why? Because they are devils among us. And trust me, the judge is not just a prosecutor, but the judges in these cases are allowing these slaps on the wrist. So they're in on the white supremacy also. In fact, as I said earlier, this system, this systematic white supremacy, it's all throughout all the different facets of our so-called society: government, politics, medical, religious, now the aviation, education, law enforcement, mainstream. Just go down the list. They're all liars, family. All of them. It's the European way. It's literally like trying to sit down with some people, some friends, and trying to play a game of Monopoly. And you know how normally, how it's supposed to be, each player is supposed to receive the same amount of money at the start of a Monopoly game. Equal amount. And then it's a roll of the dice from there, right? But imagine trying to play a Monopoly game with 3 of your friends and they all get the startup money, but you get nothing. You get 0. And they go, okay, let's play. That's literally what they've done to what y'all call so-called black people here in America. While at the same time, the other facet, the other side of white supremacy gives the advantages, the opportunities, the protection, the complexion for the protection. They give all of that and more to uphold and support most of our white brothers and sisters out here. It's a rigged system that is systematic white supremacy. So there's one thing I want you to keep in mind, and that is, family, as scripture says, we don't fight against flesh, we fight against principalities and powers on this earth that are beyond us, like what I've just shared with you in this report. In addition, also consider this. John chapter 8, verse 44. As I told you, they all are liars, because ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Systematic white supremacy. So for you to know and understand the scriptures I've just spoke about and shown you, and really the whole Bible, you have to read it for yourself. Not listen to your pastors or somebody else's version or some commentary. You have to open it up from cover to cover and read it for yourself. And you will, if your spirit is open to it and you receive the truth from what you're reading, you will begin to see these same things that Katie Smooth has been showing you this evening. And you'll go ahead and smash the like button. Smash the like button. Share this report on all of your social media with all of your peoples. And you'll be sure that you're subscribed to One Brothas Mind, because here we try to bring you the information and facts you need. But there's something additional that you will get if you read scripture for yourself. Is you'll come to know that this white supremacy, systematic white supremacy, this is not how the story ends. There is actually some good news. And you're only going to find the good news if you read all of scripture. If you don't stop reading, keep reading. As you're reading, you're going to discover the good news. And the good news is, doesn't end like this. The good news is this. The 400 years has ended, family. And Yah is exposing all of the lies. All of their lies, if you will. all of our lies, all of everybody's lies. They're being exposed. And in regards to the house of systematic white supremacy, as those lies are being exposed, this is what's happening. The whole satanic house that they've built is falling. Do you see it, family? It's falling. Card by card, satanic brick by brick, it's all falling apart. That's the good news. The other part of the good news is, at some point, as it's falling apart, we're going to reach the point to where our King is going to return, Yahushua HaMashiach, to finish putting an end to this satanic world system. Are you ready? Are you following and believing in scripture only? Or are you still practicing lies and idolatry and paganism? I can tell you how to find out. Just read scripture from cover to cover for yourself. It's clear as day. It's not going to be easy once you discover more and more of the lies. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to tell you that right now. Not going to be easy. Learning the truth. But you can, y'all knows you can handle it. Because you still breathing. So y'all is still giving you time and a chance to learn this stuff, to learn these truths, to figure what's going on out and position yourself on Yah's team before the whole house of cards falls, before Yahushua Mashiach, or as many of you call him, Yahushua the Christ, returns and finishes systematic white supremacy and the satanic rule of this world. There you have it, family. There you have it. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this report. Like I said, it's a bombshell report. There will be more information that's going to be released, that's going to come out. Trust me on this. Okay? And as more important information related to this comes out, we will follow it and potentially do an update for any additional significant info that comes out. But y'all let me know. I mean, y'all may disagree. If you do, drop it in the comments. Let's chop it up about it. Let me know where you disagree. And again, systematic white supremacy is multifaceted. It's not just discrimination or racism and oppression on so-called black people. But the other facet, or another facet of it, is its support system and structure for most of our white brothers and sisters out here that uphold them, support them, secure them in their wealth and attainment of wealth without accountability for their crimes. That's another facet of systematic white supremacy that I've just shared with you. Okay? If you're still in denial, Yah help you. And this concludes this broadcast for One Brothas Mind. We thank you for joining us. And as a part of the new Black Media B1 choices are mandatory, and being on code is required. But never fear, Yehoshua HaMashiach, Yeshua the Christ, is with you always. Shalom.